Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, and thanks to our episode sponsor, ours and your favorite grinder company, Baratza. Check the show notes for links to Baratza's website today. Today on the podcast, we are talking about the very real staff shortage that we're experiencing in the hospitality industry across the world. So this is not just a coffee industry thing, this is a hospitality-wide issue, and it's a very real and challenging situation in many countries across the world right now. I'm getting contacted by a lot of people and seeing people post many pictures where businesses have posted, printed out signs on their front door saying, "We're really sorry, we cannot open today. We do not have any staff. We cannot find any staff. If you want a job, we're obviously hiring." Why is this situation happening? There are a couple of reasons why this is happening. Right now, because big companies are experiencing month-on-month accelerated growth, and we're talking about businesses like Walmart and we're talking about businesses like Amazon. They are experiencing great growth as a result of people having a little bit of extra money or a lot of extra money that they've saved because they don't have to travel to work, or because they are getting more money on unemployment than they did in their own jobs. They have more time to spend money, a variety of reasons. So they're spending their money at places like Amazon and at Walmart and Kmart and Target and places like that. And what you're finding is those places, because they are very revenue and profit heavy, have the capability to offer higher minimum wages than most cafes and restaurants can compete with, as well as signing bonuses, as well as benefits. And so what we're seeing is that small businesses, particularly in the hospitality industry, are being completely priced out of the market. And there is no end in sight to when this happens. If you look at what's happening in America, the stimulus packages, so the unemployment packages on a federal level, don't end until September. So what I personally am not predicting, but what you can logically see will happen is that it won't be until November that we start to see a greater influx of people into the workforce. We as small businesses have to find a way to survive from here until November with little to no staff, because why would people come and work in jobs that are paying them sometimes half what places like Amazon and Walmart are paying, and certainly without any healthcare? Certainly without any of the kinds of benefits that come with working for a company like Walmart, who puts you on a track to college paid education. You've got your healthcare covered. They make huge investments in their employees, well beyond anything that a small business can afford. And so if what we're faced with is trying to figure out how to navigate this water from now until November or even September, May, June, July, August, September, that's 5 months. A small business cannot survive on opening part-time, as we've seen from the pandemic. A small business cannot survive operating that way for 5 months. Now, if we had to deal with a month, maybe, perhaps, but we're over a year into a pandemic where we've had to consistently pivot, and staff has been an issue. And now we're getting into more severe territories with that. So it's time to come up with new, more permanent solutions. So some of those solutions could be things like hiring if staffing is going to be the option that you're going to go with, it may be hiring people in an older age bracket that you typically wouldn't have hired previously. People who don't want to go and work at Walmart, and people who do want to be around a community and feel safe being around a community. That may be one option. But friends, it's time to start thinking about what will happen to your customers if you stay closed because you cannot find staff. And a way to pivot from that, in my mind, one option would be to think of some automation strategies that can help you adapt to not being able to find staff. This is not you using machines to replace people. This is using equipment to deal with a severe staff shortage that you're experiencing. And this is the time to do that. This is the time to figure out, how do I use equipment to deliver on a product that I could potentially sell, but I don't have labor to create that. So I need to have equipment that could create that instead. Now, there are a variety of machines out there that can help you with that. We've certainly had people sponsor this podcast that are able to deliver those kinds of things. I would say that explore your options. Look for equipment that you could potentially bring into your cafe if you have the budget to do it, or into your roasting facilities, because this is not just a cafe situation. This is happening in roasteries as well. People cannot find roasters to roast their coffee, or they cannot find people to package their product. This is a very real situation that we're experiencing right now. The other option is pivoting your product so that you go from being, as your customers coming into your cafe to buy your coffee, versus you selling equipment where customers can brew at home, so that you pivot with the minimum staff that you have. Maybe it's just you as the owner. What you're doing is running classes that teach people to brew at home so that they are buying coffee and equipment from you, as well as education sessions. Now, that's just one other way to pivot. If you want more ideas that are specifically tied to your business, that's what we would do if you were a part of the mastermind group, or if you were a consulting client. At this stage, we still have a window to prepare for this before, as we were saying in the last episode, the dragon is coming, the dragon is coming, the dragon is coming. Now, one thing I did fail to mention in the last episode is, if we're talking about staff shortages and high inflation, what we're also going to be looking at is if we have to stay closed for periods of time and still have to make costs at the price that they're at with regards to rent and insurance, and because those expenses are not going to go down. At the very least, they'll stay the same. But the reality of it is, if inflation happens, those prices are going up too, with less revenue. Now, what we're going to see as a result of that is all your expenses going up means that your prices have to go up. And if your prices have to go up with inflation, if they're going to go up, this golden number that we seem to have around, no one wants to pay more than $4 for a cup of, well, not a cup of coffee, but perhaps for a latte or an espresso-based drink. $4 seems to be around the acceptable number for a standard cow latte. If inflation happens your expenses are going to go up and you're going to need to fund that first. And then you're going to need to put your expenses up. Now, we struggle at the best of times to put prices up to match our cost increases. That's why we operate on such razor-thin margins. But in this situation, if we experience something like hyperinflation, which is a word that is being thrown around by people, and that just means that inflation gets so out of control that governments can no longer correct for it. They cannot keep up with it. What we're going to start to see is that a $4 latte, instead of in normal cases where you may need to put it up to $4.50 or $4.75, in situations like hyperinflation, you may need to put it up to $8 just to cover costs. Now, think about that. If hyperinflation happens, $8 may just be what you need to cover costs. So, as I said in the last episode, the dragon is coming. All the signs are starting to appear. The objective, mathematical, economic signs are there. We have low staff. We have high commodities. We have a high demand. There is a lot of spending going on and our supply is dwindling. Everything is pointing to very challenging times ahead. Start thinking of what your strategy is going to be so that you can adapt to the potential of inflation and how that's going to affect your business, and what happens if the workforce doesn't come back that you need to keep your business going. How can you adapt? How do you shift your business from perhaps no longer operating as a cafe and operating as an online coffee supplier business to consumers? I don't know. Whatever it is that you need to adapt, however it is that you need to adapt, now is the time to start adapting. If you need any help, we are here. Go to mapperforward.org/group coaching if joining a mastermind group coaching session is in your future. I hope this has been helpful. Peace, love, and peanut butter, friends. Have an amazing rest of your day.